Welcome to the Market Mystics podcast, where we discuss what's happening in the cryptosphere and trading on Earth as it is in heaven. Buckle up and huddle on while we dive in and get weird. Here are your hosts, Joshua and Kim.
Welcome.
Hey.
How's everyone doing on this fine Monday morning?
It's good. We're actually recording in the morning today, which is different for us.
Yes, normally we are afternoon people, but I have some other commitments today, so Kim was kind enough to change our recording time to the morning.
It's a really nice way of saying I was willing to drag my butt out of bed a little earlier this morning.
Yes, probably for both of us.
Probably so.
Yeah. We have a habit of logging in to talk to each other, like to record the show, and spending an hour or more just talking about crypto because it's what we love to do. So we try to condense our conversation down so that we actually have things to talk about when we record. But yeah, so when we were planning today, it was like, okay, I need to record a little bit earlier, but we should probably start even earlier so that we can get all of our conversations out of the way before we actually start recording.
It's true. One day, mark my words, one day we'll record a pre-show and you'll see what our conversations are actually like. And we'll release that out just for kicks.
Yes. Yes. It's not too far off. Maybe just a little bit less edited.
It is. Actually, you know what? Our last episode, we had quite the dynamic conversation before we recorded, and really not much of anything came out in the episode.
Right.
We disagreed on some things. And it was quite animated, and it probably would have made for a great podcast, except that we only thought, oh, that would have been great to record 3/4 of the way through.
Right. Yes.
And then we didn't want to rehash like a debate.
Right. That we already knew,
We'd already resolved it.
It didn't really have a good conclusion, I feel like. And so it wasn't really worth recording the argument because, we didn't really have an answer. So I don't think either of us really knew enough to have conclusive arguments. It was just kind of opinions, and
That's true.
You can argue opinions all day. So
that's true. Isn't that what our society is about, though?
A little bit.
Arguing opinions.
Yes. Opinions that are often misconstrued as facts.
Joshua, how dare you? I make my own truth.
That's right.
I'm just kidding.
I was just having a conversation with someone recently about whether or not truth was objective or subjective. And I was like, I wonder if we could tie that into a show. And I didn't think we could, but look at us go.
But here we are.
So what's going on in the cryptosphere this Monday morning?
Okay, so a couple things I wanted to talk about. Last Thursday when we recorded, this news had just come out, but we didn't have time to cover it. So I did want to just mention a couple things this morning. I saw 2 press releases on the 13th of January for conferences in the cryptosphere, which at least one of them you'll probably have heard of. It's this one's Bitcoin 2022. It's in Miami, and last year it was probably the talk of the crypto world for at least a couple months. There were some big speakers and a lot of information that was released during that time, and it really kind of forged this community. I don't know, kind of put a backbone to it. I don't know how else you would describe it, but that's kind of what happened last year. This year it is a 4-day conference. It's from April 6th through 9. They're expecting 40,000 attendees. I didn't write this down, so I don't have the exact number, but I feel like there was only like 6,000 or something last year, and they're expecting a whole lot more this year. So I have one day that's an industry day, 2 days of the normal conference, and then a one-day music festival, which is a new thing. Apparently, they're getting all these different artists from different genres, and people who are like these artists who are into crypto too, and who have music that is surrounding that. And I'd be curious just to kind of see how that goes, honestly.
I think it's been interesting to pay attention to. Oh, we'll get into more of this later, but celebrities or musicians that have embraced crypto. And, whether or not their music is specifically crypto related, but they are supporters or they're endorsing different platforms or different coins or different NFT projects.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing to see. I guess just kind of everyone's starting to look at it differently. They're starting to look at it with a lot more legitimacy. So I looked up the numbers for last year's conference. It said they had about 12,000.
12.
So even the difference between 12 to 40, I mean, is triple of the attendance. Like
Right.
that's a big deal for year over year. And last year, like you were talking about, was a big deal because not only did they have like exchange or like crypto coin CEOs or creators, but they also had leaders in tech who were
Mm-hmm.
able to kind of discuss other aspects of the digital world. And I think it's an amazing educational opportunity, probably a really fun time. Bitcoin 2022, if you want to sponsor a couple little creators, we'd love to go.
You're funny. One of the things I wanted to mention about this, the Bitcoin Media CEO and the event organizer of this Bitcoin 2022, this is what he said. He said, the conference is going to capture the world's attention. Let's show them what freedom, sovereignty, and prosperity really mean. That's
Mm,
David Bailey. And I think that is such a good summation of really what the whole crypto world is kind of trying to accomplish. I'm sure there are those who are just there to try to get rich. It's all self-serving, but I think there's so many people who are just dissatisfied with how things are going,
yeah.
that the freedom, sovereignty, and prosperity aspect is, I mean, it's kind of the heartbeat behind all of this.
Yeah, it really is.
Also, it looks like prices start at $99 for the music festival alone, and then it's $499 and up for the whole conference. I am kind of surprised. I was just thinking about this. I'm kind of surprised they're not offering like discounted music festival or something if you do it on the metaverse. Maybe
Mm,
we'll see that next year, but I would expect to start seeing some of these kinds of conferences being offered in a metaverse kind of platform.
yeah.
And I'm kind of surprised it's not this year.
I'm a little bit surprised about that too, because I'm thinking back to even several years ago before we were really talking about, oh, before crypto was really mainstream, before the metaverse was a thing, there were people um, doing concerts inside of like Fortnite, for example, is one that I know happened. I think Marshmello did a concert inside of Fortnite. And so these things have already happened like this. And so I am a little bit surprised that there's not like a lot of conferences will sell live stream tickets,
Mhm.
but I'm surprised that there isn't a more immersive option. I think that
Agreed.
would be pretty interesting.
Especially with how 2021 went and how NFTs really just kind of blew up. right? Like this is the talk of the crypto world, is the metaverse and NFT stuff. And so I think they're just missing it a little bit by not offering that this year. They
Yeah.
probably weren't prepared for it, and so they can't just throw it together, but that would have been a good addition.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so the second festival or conference, I guess we could call it a festival. I feel like people are going to celebrate, so maybe it is a festival.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's
Is
get rid of the old wording from like old money conferences to, now we have NFT festivals or crypto festivals, not conferences.
Yeah, that's kind of a good word. We've talked, maybe we haven't talked on the podcast much about it, but one of the things the Lord has led us out of and into is out of this concept of work and into operating from a place of rest. But that goes right along with it. Like conference is so rooted in and tethered to work,
right,
and the grind. And a festival just sounds like fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? Okay, so in Paris, they're having a Paris NFT Day during Paris's Blockchain Week Summit. Apparently, it's set to become Europe's largest NFT dedicated event. Although I don't know if there's another larger NFT dedicated event somewhere else in the world, because this was very specific about Europe.
Right.
But it's interesting because that first one we talked about in Miami, Bitcoin 2022, is April 6th through 9th. This one's April 12th. They're very close together.
Yeah, just enough time to finish in Miami, hop on a plane
I
to
know.
Paris.
Get acclimated to the time difference and then go to that festival.
That's right.
They're only expecting about 1,500 people in attendance. However, they have over 70 speakers, which I
Wow.
feel like is a lot,
That is a lot.
especially considering what they're expecting for attendance. So I guess that would mean it will be far more personable.
Mm.
You may be able to interact more with some of the showcase people. They have all kinds of stuff going on. They have auctions and galleries and virtual galleries. Surprise, surprise, since it's NFT centric. Apparently, they're having the first ever Bored Ape Yacht Club meetup in France for
Only
current holders.
or holders. Yeah. Like that seems okay. If they're expecting 1,500 people to come, I'm just curious what percentage of those actually own a Bored Ape NFT.
100% is my guess.
I mean, there's either only people who are on that level who are going to be there, or it's going to be two people sitting in a room having a cup of coffee because they're the only ones who could afford a Bored Ape.
That's so funny. The thing I would really like to see, because I keep seeing on Twitter and stuff, everybody has Bored Ape as their profile picture. How many people actually own those? Because I don't think all these people who have them on there actually own those NFTs. I think they're all screenshotted to make them look like
They're
when
rich.
people would wear like knockoff Jordans.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is what it feels like, because there cannot be millions of people with these NFTs.
The screenshotted Bored Ape Club is the new knockoff Louis bag.
Yes. Yes.
I saw something the other day where there was a well-known influencer who had his profile picture as a Bored Ape, and he was claiming that his wallet had gotten hacked and his NFTs had been stolen. And the top comment on his post was, well, would you please remove that as your profile picture since you don't own it anymore? And I was like, that has got to be the most savage comment. And it had the most likes. but I thought it was hilarious.
It is kind of funny. I
So
mean, that's
funny.
kind of the point of the NFTs, right?
It is kind of the point. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so that NFT event is going on. Now they're doing physical and digital tickets. So I also kind of wonder if they're expecting 1,200 in person to
Mm,
attend or 1,200 total. Because
right.
if it's 1,200 total, then it may be 1-to-1 for those speakers. You may get your own personal speaker at this event. I don't know.
Yeah. That would be interesting.
It would be. Anyway, their tickets start at $540. And both of these events
It's about
are
the gas fee on
offering
an Ethereum, right?
what?
So that's about the cost of gas fees on a Board Ape Club, right?
Uh, yeah. But both of these are allowing you to pay in crypto, which is one of the things that we checked. It was one of the first things we checked when we saw these press releases. We were like, how much is it? And can you pay in crypto? Because if you can't, I think it
Kind of
just,
missing a big
right,
opportunity.
they're delegitimizing themselves from the get go.
Right. And I know we found out that Bitcoin 2022 is actually offering a discount if you paid in crypto.
True. It's like $100
Mm,
discount, which is,
substantial.
it is substantial. Okay. What else is going on in the news?
Well, man, there's all sorts of things. So I know we have talked about before the sustainability of crypto mining.
Mhm.
And, there was recently probably most notably Elon sort of rolling back his stance on crypto and saying, "Hey, this is a good thing, but we have to figure out energy." And so we've really kind of been digging into this because it just didn't like sit well. Like it was kind of like, man, I feel like there's something missing here. And so, we sort of dug into a little bit. And what we've been finding is there's actually quite a few places that are dealing with crypto and crypto mining specifically with renewable energy sources. And so we just kind of wanted to put a few of them together to, just to bring some light to what was going on. So you have Russia using hydropower for mining. You have El Salvador doing geothermal energy from a volcano. You have Costa Rica using hydroelectric plants. And, I think there's just a lot more of this going on globally
Mm.
than what we like to think in our mindsets. We tend, I think, COVID has done a lot to kind of isolate people. It's pushed you away from kind of a global mindset into a much more individualistic mindset.
Mm.
But it's important to understand that crypto is not a US creation, or it's not centered around here. There are so many other economies, so many other countries that are involved in it. And the price action that you see, the volumes that you see in trading, the platforms that you see, they are impacted so much more by the global community than they really are by our Western world.
It's true. I just want to notate. So, one of the things, one of the big nations, well, biggest mining nations, I would say, in the world is Kazakhstan, right? Last week, there was kind of an increase in prices in crypto and then another dip. And there are a lot of sources out there who are attributing that to Kazakhstan and their power outage. They had all of their grids down, or I don't know, wait, Was it power? Or was it internet? It might have been their internet was down, but they were down and essentially off the grid, and their mining stopped for about a week, and it drove the price of Bitcoin down.
Wow. And basically, that just means that the ability to process transactions was limited, and that just caused the price to fall.
Right.
And that's really interesting because it's not, I suppose that the ability to process transactions quickly and efficiently is some of what gives crypto its value,
Mhm.
but it's just a piece of it. So it's interesting that that piece of it could cause a global impact.
Oh, for sure. And in a country that we don't otherwise hear about a whole lot. I
Right.
mean, Kazakhstan, Stan,
Sure.
Malaysia, and Iran are all like pretty major mining companies at this point. And to see countries that we don't otherwise hear about a lot
Mhm.
or even think about as like huge players, you
Right.
see the access to that mining go down in one of them and that kind of impact. It makes me wonder, what are we missing with these other places as well? You know what I mean? If we see El Salvador starting to mine, having this Bitcoin city, mining from the geothermal energy and everything, and then what if that goes offline for a week? Will we see the impact from that as well in a country that we've otherwise kind of ignored for a long
Ignore.
time?
Yeah. It's pretty interesting. For a long time, China sort of led the world in mining.
Oh, yeah.
And with their bans on Bitcoin, it really pushed miners to other places. But what you saw through that was other countries embrace mining and
Hmm.
welcome that industry.
Hmm.
And I think that the countries that are adopting this sooner than others are going to have a very, they're going to have a step ahead as the world continues to evolve into a more digital world. The countries that have led the way are, it's going to be massive for them. I think we could see, probably won't ever see a shift in like who the number one countries are, but
Sure.
I think some of these countries that we have that have just been small, not noteworthy countries, they're going to take a more prominent name.
Hmm. That's encouraging
Yeah.
a bit. Like, we all like the underdog stories, right? And I think you see something, we always go back to El Salvador, but it's because they're kind of leading the pack. For the first time in my lifetime, I'm hearing El Salvador as a leader of something. And they're just kind of blazing the trail a bit for really that mass adoption. I mean, we had an episode about mass adoption, but they're embracing it.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to continue to hear more and more about them. And I will be curious to see year over year, maybe quarter over quarter, what their economy is looking like. If it is indeed improving, if quality of life is improving, which are all things that can be measured. So maybe something we can keep an eye on.
I think another thing to keep an eye on is the percent of population that is banked.
Hmm.
Because one of the things that crypto does is enable people who've never had bank accounts before to have easy access to a bank account.
True.
And it's because it's cheap and easy to access. All you need is a smartphone. And many, many people who are even below the poverty line have smartphones. Almost
Mhm.
everybody has a cell phone. Not everybody, but most people do. And I think there's people that are more likely to have a more institutionalized account through their smartphone than they are going to walk into an actual bank, pay fees, and take the time to set up accounts, deposit money. I just, there's, I think you're going to see a big increase in people who have access to banking type products because of crypto.
Mm, yeah. It's good.
So while we're talking about countries and exchanges and mining, another thing that we're seeing a lot recently are celebrity endorsements and exchange branding deals. And so, how do you want to hit on any of those that we've seen lately?
Yes. So we started this conversation last night because I was watching the Chiefs and Steelers game, and I saw an advertisement for FTX, which is the 8th largest exchange in the world, for volume anyway. But it was Tom Brady and his wife Giselle, and they were starring in this commercial. And I don't know, I was intrigued. This all comes after other things like crypto.com. We had a group of us who went to see Eternals in November when it came out. And as far as I know, that was the premiere of the crypto.com ad with Matt Damon, who is their spokesperson. And you saw the astronaut coming off of the rocket ship with the name tag, Yakimoto, or maybe it was Satoshi.
Probably Satoshi.
It was probably Satoshi, which is the made up name of the creator of Bitcoin. But we're starting to see some advertising, like big marketing moves by some of these exchanges. And it's intriguing to me because we're seeing some that are, again, blazing forward, like on fire. You can't help but see them everywhere. And then others that are just radio silence.
Well, I think, while we were researching this, one of the things that we saw was crypto.com and FTX alone have spent over $1 billion in branding, naming deals. I mean, we're not talking small numbers. Crypto.com recently took over the naming rights for what used to be the Staples Center in LA. So the one of the most well-known arenas, I mean, for sure in basketball, but there's a lot of people who know the Staples Center for concerts or other events. I mean, it's not just the house that Kobe built. I mean, there's a lot of things that the Staples Center was known for. And now it's the crypto.com arena. So all these iconic pictures of flyovers of downtown LA that you see now say crypto.com. And it was the largest naming right deal in history at roughly $700 million.
That is an investment.
Yes. To me, that really shows that crypto.com is saying, we're here to stay.
True. And it was shortly after that came out and that first ad with Matt Damon that the price of crypto.com, their native coin, CRO, skyrocketed.
Yeah.
It has since come back down a bit, but there was a huge increase in November.
Yeah. It was wild to watch it.
That's true. Okay. So what else is crypto.com on? Like where are you seeing them?
Probably the first place that I noticed them was on the UFC. So if you watch the UFC during the fights, the octagon is the crypto.com logo, like where they fight. So the entire time the camera is pointing at crypto.com. And that's probably the first place that I really noticed them. I don't know if that was their first branding deal, but it was the first place that I noticed them.
Yeah.
Of seeing seeing crypto in a, I don't know if I'd call UFC mainstream, but it's a more mainstream than crypto probably is. And it was, I don't know, like it was kind of interesting to see that. And there's talks of them having Super Bowl ads. I don't know if it'll be a new one or if it'll be just the Matt Damon one that we've already seen. But there's,
I bet they do a new one. You know how Super Bowl ads are always so highly anticipated,
yeah,
and
they're
some of
very
them get
iconic.
leaked and then it's a big deal. And half the people watch the Super Bowl for the commercials.
Right.
I mean, just honestly, that's
Yeah.
what I watch it for. I'm not a big football person. I know I said I was watching a football game last night, but I was watching with my dad. Um, but I've always watched for the commercials. I've always watched for the halftime show.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, so not only are we seeing more crypto ads during a lot of these sporting events, like I was saying last night, I saw the FTX, and then we're seeing the crypto.com ones. I know that they have paid for an ad spot, which is already kind of a mint to buy. I mean, it's $6.5 million for 30 seconds with NBC this year with the Super Bowl. So if they do one, great. But if they do a few, wow.
Yeah,
Right.
they're really
But
spending
also,
some money.
Snoop Dogg is in the halftime show and he is a big crypto guy, or at
Yes.
least big NFT guy. Anyway,
Be
I like
really
that little
be
correlation there.
interesting to see if he ties, his metaverse kind of, he's sort of an ambassador for Sandbox. So it'll be interesting to see if he does anything with that or not.
Maybe, but there are a bunch of them performing. Have you seen the
Mm,
lineup?
I haven't, yeah.
I think it's Dr. Dre, it's Snoop Dogg, it's Mary J. Blige. Um, gosh, there are others. So I wonder how much we'll even see of him.
True.
I don't know. I would hope that he would be the headliner. I mean, he's who I would want to see.
Right.
I don't know.
I think it's interesting. So we were talking about crypto.com having the naming rights for the former Staples Center, but you also have FTX stepping into the arena game by taking over the Miami Heat arena. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what it was called before, but they took over the naming rights for that arena for a much cheaper amount. And I have to wonder if that, mm, if it's really, sure, the Staples Center is more iconic, but I wonder, is it really less notable? Like, is it going to get less publicity? Is the stadium in Miami? I don't know. We'll see.
Mm.
But they paid 135 million for their naming right. And
That is significantly
that's
lower than the 700
significantly
million.
lower. Yes. But it kind of seems like FTX is casting a wide net. They have the Miami Heat deal. They are running ads during the Golden State Warriors games. They've taken over naming rights of a college football stadium, UC Berkeley. And then they have a 5-year ad campaign with Major League Baseball. They recently signed a deal with an esports team.
Mm.
I mean, they're going after a much broader, I think, audience. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with it. I think the esports team is a smart move because you already have sort of nerdy, techie people who are going to be into that. And those are the people who you're going to see in crypto sooner than others.
I think you're right. And I think it's, excuse me, I think it's significant that these players being FTX and crypto.com, are the ones who are really putting their name out there. I'll be honest, before I saw the ad last night, I hadn't heard of FTX, and it's the number 8 exchange in
Right.
the world. And so I went and looked it up because obviously I get excited about anything crypto being mainstream or hearing about it in the mainstream. And I went and looked it up and I was like, oh, yeah, it is a thing. Definitely a thing. Some of it is available to the US, most of it is not, kind of like Binance. Um, but it's making a name and it is
Right.
driving people to look them up and see what's happening. You know what I mean? And I think it's going to be significant in their positioning with being some of these top exchanges.
Well, one of the things I think is interesting is FTX is currently the eighth top exchange based on volume. Coinbase is third. FTX has about half of the volume. And I to me that shows that there's a lot of exchanges that are very close together.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's not going to take much for crypto.com to move up or for FTX to move up. And one of the things that was
Mm.
interesting is while we were researching this, we were looking at top exchanges with branding deals that are really pushing marketing. And you're not seeing Coinbase do a lot of that.
No, the only figures I could find were from 2020, and they were investing less than 10% of their total revenue into any kind of marketing or advertising. And I found one singular commercial on YouTube for Coinbase, and that was it. There's
Yeah.
like nothing else, which is kind of wild to me, especially Coinbase, who is solidly number, well,
Three.
I wouldn't even say solidly number 3. They're 100, not even 160 million dollars off from being number 4. And that's with
Yeah.
crypto.com. And crypto.com was not always the big name that it is now. I mean, a
Right.
year ago, it was far less known. So you look at these campaigns to get the names out there and it's working. And so I
Yeah.
think Coinbase needs to get on the game a bit
I
if they want to maintain a position as a leading exchange in the world.
what I want to know is what Coinbase is using the money for. Are they investing it into their platform to create a better user experience, more better efficiency, more stability? Are they investing it into themselves or I'm just curious what they're using it for, because if these other platforms are pushing more money into marketing but not as much into their own platform, then maybe Coinbase is long term able to hold out.
Mm,
But with crypto.com being so close to overtaking Coinbase and yet having half of the trading pairs, so they have half of the options that are available to Coinbase users, but they are almost to overtake them. I I just can't imagine that Coinbase can be okay with that.
I
Like
know.
for so long they set it number 2 and now they're at number 3 and they're close to being number 4.
They are
And
close.
the one behind that is Kucoin, and it's only, I mean, it's 600 million off, which is a decent amount, but a few, that could shift quickly.
It's true. I'm shocked that KuCoin is at number 5. I'll be honest. I've used the exchange and it's fine, but I don't feel like it's
It's
as
fine.
what?
Yeah. It's just fine.
It's
There's
just fine.
yeah.
It's not horribly user friendly. If you don't know how to do trades, you wouldn't want to. I don't feel like if you're a beginner trader, you would want to go into KuCoin and make your first purchase because it would maybe completely fry your nerves.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you
Yeah.
have things like Coinbase that at least their normal Coinbase is made to be very easy on the user.
Mhm.
If you get into Coinbase Pro, it's a bit more like a normal exchange, but regular Coinbase is easy to use. It's
Mhm.
widely like accessible. And I just, man, I hate to see something that has a decent platform and could really get crypto to be far more mainstream, at least in the US, because also the number one exchange, Binance, is not available for US citizens. So you can make an account, you can make no trades. I'll
Right.
say that. But it's because of all the KYC requirements that the US has. So there is Binance.us, but it has significantly fewer coins. It has significantly lower trade volume. Um, the platform looks about the same when you do it. It's
Generally.
very similar. It just isn't the same thing. So
Mhm.
Binance is the big bad boy. Binance is essentially the Bitcoin of the exchanges.
Yeah, it's not even close. If you're
Mm.
looking at volume or trading pairs, it's not even close to its competitors. I mean, it's so far above and beyond any of the others.
It's true. It's true. We have friends overseas who get to use it, and there are times of severe jealousy.
Very true. And one of those, I think it's getting a little bit better for us, but originally what we were most jealous of were their options of coins.
Hmm.
So Binance Global has 1,400 trading pairs. The next closest one has 500 trading pairs. Coinbase has 400 trading pairs. So Binance has 1,000 more trading pairs than Coinbase does. And that's just options that we don't have at
Right.
our disposal to be able to trade with. And so there's opportunities that those people are going to have that we won't see because of that.
Right.
I think it's getting a little bit better. I think the numbers are increasing. There's other there's other people out there that have trading that are making it available for US citizens, but it didn't always used to be like that.
It's true. Well, and I think the demand, the demand for it, it's becoming more widespread. Again, we've talked about mass adoption. More and more people, just normal people, are getting on the bandwagon, I would say. And so as that happens, I think some of these exchanges are going to have those people asking for these certain coins, you know? One of the coins not even a year ago that I was really interested in is in the top 10 and not available anywhere in the US. Do you remember
Right.
this?
I do.
There was a
Yeah.
certain time, it was even the Lord was leading me to it. I could not get into this coin. And then all of our friends overseas are like, oh, yeah, I got it. It's great. It's easy. Yeah, it's been on here forever.
Right.
And then I had to wait until it was listed. It wound up being listed on crypto.com, which I was grateful for because I was already a user. And then I had to wait for it to reach a certain price point again before getting into it. I wound up being able to get into it, but it
A
was
process.
difficult. And it was not an obscure coin. This isn't like number 2152 on the
Right.
charts.
We're talking like the number 9 coin. Like
Right.
crazy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
So anyway, I guess all that to say, I think it's really interesting to watch the marketing strategies of these different exchanges
Right.
to see how they're getting exposure. And I wonder how much of it spills over. So if crypto.com is spending all of these hundreds of millions of dollars in advertising, in their marketing strategies, all of this, how much of that is spilling over into Coinbase anyway?
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
True.
Just getting the name of crypto out there,
Mhm.
and then people go find their own exchanges. Obviously, it's done well for crypto.com because their volume is increasing. But I think there's got to be some spillover too. And maybe that's why Coinbase is
Hanging
holding
on.
back. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, they're getting residuals anyway. It's kind of one of the things you do for investing. So maybe it is a smart move. I don't know.
Well, I guess time will tell, but I am very excited to see crypto and crypto platforms taking a mainstream stance and really spending the money and saying, we're here. We're not going anywhere. This may be new, may not be something you understand, but you better learn.
Yeah, it's true. It's good. And getting the recognizable figures.
Mm,
You know what I mean? You get the goat and have him talk about trading.
yeah,
I mean, people recognize that.
true.
I don't know. Okay. I think that's all we have for today, guys. We'll see you next time.
All right. See you later.
Thank you for listening. Join us every Monday and Thursday as we discuss trading on earth as it is in heaven. If you want to connect further, follow us on social media at market.mystics for Instagram and TikTok, and search for Market Mystics on YouTube and Facebook. If you still need more, follow the link on Facebook to book a coaching appointment. Until next time, see ya.